My name is Zoe, and it took me nearly 20 years to understand one simple yet brutal truth. In my own family, I was never the main character. Not because I didn't try. I tried everything, from being obedient and accomplished, to sacrificing everything. But I could never outshine the person they always favored. I thought I was simply being kind out of love, but the truth was, I had disappeared. And one day, when I looked back, I realized I had only been the quiet shadow of someone else. My younger sister. Chloe. You think I'm exaggerating? Then keep listening, because this story doesn't start with tears. It starts with a chocolate cookie I never got to finish. I was born and raised in a small town called Maple Hollow in the suburbs of Oregon. My mom was a night shift nurse at the Central Hospital, and my dad was a construction engineer who was often away on remote projects. From the outside, my family looked like any other ordinary American household. But live in it long enough, and you'd see that love in our home always tilted to one side. Chloe is 2 years younger than me. Since we were kids, she was called Mommy's angel, Daddy's baby. And me? I was the big sister who should know better, the mature one. Every time Chloe cried, I was the one who got scolded. Every time she didn't want to eat vegetables, I had to eat double. And whenever there was just one last slice of chocolate cake left, I was taught that she needs it more. I remember once, when I was 8 years old, I spent the whole afternoon drawing a picture for Mother's Day. I taped it to the fridge with excitement. That evening, Chloe came home with a paper flower she made in preschool. My mom saw it, teared up, and took down my drawing to replace it with the flower. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and told myself, it's okay, it's just the fridge. All through elementary school, I had to wake up early to help my mom make breakfast, while Chloe got to sleep in because she needs energy for her dance recital. I was a straight-A student for 5 years, but all I got was a rushed hug from Dad. Chloe! She'd sing one song at the school concert, and the whole family would show up with flowers, cameras, and Facebook posts. Mom would caption it, "Our family's pride and joy." I thought maybe things would change when we grew up. But I was wrong. High school made everything clearer. I studied like crazy to keep my scholarship, joined a math team, played softball, and worked part-time in the school library to pay for my textbooks. Chloe joined the cheer squad, skipped classes all the time, and no one said a word. Once, she got an F for turning in a project late. My mom called the teacher, argued for over 30 minutes, and Chloe got a second chance. I heard and just scoffed. It didn't stop there. Chloe would forget her assignments and ask me to do them. At first, I said no. But each time, my mom would sit me down and gently say, "Zoe, your sister has so much on her plate. You're better at this. Just help her a little." And so I found myself writing her entire biology presentation while she danced around in someone else's house, posting stories with her friends. That's how it went. I carried it all: house chores, tutoring, covering for Chloe's mistakes. Every time I voiced frustration, my mom would say just one thing: "You're being selfish. Family is about loving one another." But I didn't feel any love, I just felt forced to love others by sacrificing myself. And my dad? He always stayed neutral, or rather, stayed out of everything. When I asked if he saw how unfair it was, he just shook his head. "Don't make a fuss, Chloe's younger, you should be more understanding." Be understanding. That was the key word of my entire childhood. I had to be understanding when Chloe took the front seat. Understanding when I got blamed for something I didn't do. Understanding when Chloe got praised, and I was told, "Just try a little harder." And I believed it. I believed that's how love worked in a family. That if I just tried a little harder, they'd see me. Acknowledge me. But I was wrong. Much later I realized, some families don't lack love, they just choose who to give it to. And I wasn't on the list. I still remember the day of Chloe's high school graduation like it was yesterday. Our small town had never seen a backyard party that extravagant. Pink balloons lined the street, a white tent with red carpet stretched across the backyard, long tables covered in lace cloth, a full Italian buffet, Parmesan chicken, lasagna, bruschetta, a professional photo booth, flashing lights, props. A DJ came in from Portland and played all afternoon, and in the center of it all, Chloe, in a white dress, holding a mocktail, grinning like she'd just won an Emmy. I was 18 that year, wiping sweat off my forehead while carrying a tray of orange juice through the crowd. My dad had his arm around Chloe, shouting, "She makes us all proud," and my mom? Busy hugging neighbors, bragging that Chloe was heading to an Ivy League school. When in fact, she'd enrolled in the local. I stood by the buffet table, looking at the Italian spread, and suddenly thought of the night I got accepted to the University of Washington. When I handed the acceptance letter to my mom, she just said, "That's nice, sweetie," and turned back to her cooking show. No hugs, no tears, no calls to relatives. I thought, maybe when I graduate college, they'll finally be proud of me. But I was a fool. 4 years later, I graduated, with honors, a GPA of 3.87, working part-time to pay for my tuition. On graduation day, I didn't ask for a big party, just a family dinner, something small to mark the occasion. But that morning, the only thing I got was a text from my mom, "So proud of you, let's have a light dinner tonight." No one came to the ceremony. No flowers, no name banner in the stands, no trembling handwritten note from my parents. I walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, and took my graduation photo among strangers. While in the crowd, the only familiar face was my roommate Kylie, waving and yelling, "Zoe, you did it!" She and her mom had driven 3 hours to be there, because graduating college is a big deal. My family? They didn't show up. I went home with my diploma stuffed in a tote bag, feeling like a stone was lodged in my chest. The house was quiet, the kitchen lights dim. Chloe was lounging on the couch, scrolling through TikTok. My dad was watching basketball, the volume drowning out the sound of me opening the door. My mom walked out of the kitchen holding a box of Domino's pizza. "Happy graduation, sweetheart," she beamed, placing the box on the table. "Got your favorite? Extra cheese pepperoni." I froze. No cake, no flowers. Not even a card. Actually, Mom dug into the fridge, pulled out a bottle of Heinz ketchup, squirted "congrats" on a porcelain plate next to a slice of pizza. Then she added a lopsided heart underneath. "Gotta keep the celebration vibe," she grinned, proud like she'd just invented a gourmet marvel. I swallowed the lump in my throat, sat down, picked up the pizza like it was some lifetime achievement award. "Thanks," I whispered. Took a selfie with the slice and the crooked ketchup lettering behind it. I posted it with the caption, "Dream big, kids." No one looked at me. No one asked me about the day. No one even noticed my eyes had shifted from disappointed to numb. I ate 2 slices, went to my room and sat on the floor in the dark. My diploma was still rolled up in my backpack, untouched. I looked at the pizza photo, then scrolled through my album. Over 200 pictures of me helping Chloe prep for prom, teaching her makeup, driving her to practice. Photos of me? Mostly selfies. No one ever thought to take a photo of me unless I held the camera myself. That was the moment I knew I was never the daughter of the party. I was the girl carrying drinks at someone else's celebration. That whole night, I didn't sleep. By morning I packed my things, pulled out the emergency credit card my grandma had given me, and booked a room at a small hotel downtown. I sent my mom a single message. "I need a few days alone." There was no immediate reply. It wasn't until late afternoon that a message finally came. "So when are you coming back? It's not a big deal. Why make a fuss?" I didn't respond. Because to them, a box of pizza was enough. But to me it was the final drop that spilled the glass. I began to realize that if I kept waiting for them to acknowledge me, I would drown in oblivion. I sat at the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the cheap painting on the wall, a fake beach scene under a dull gray sky. The room was dead silent, with only the steady hum of the AC, like it was trying to lull me into a sleep I didn't want. I didn't cry. No screaming, no throwing things, no sad status on social media. I just sat there, with my diploma in my bag, and a stomach still churning from the cold slice of pizza. Everything inside me felt disturbingly empty. And in that silence, I began to think about everything. I thought about the time I helped Chloe move into her dorm room without anyone asking me to, just because Mom said, "You're her sister, you should be there." Thought about all the times I turned down invitations to hang out so I could babysit for my aunt, because Chloe was busy rehearsing for her big show. Thought about the texts I sent Mom, asking for a few $100s to buy books for my first semester, only to get a flat reply, "Money's tight right now, honey." I thought I had accepted the fact that my family lived by two sets of standards, one for Chloe, one for the rest of us. But that pizza box, or more precisely the attitude behind it, shattered something I didn't even know I'd been holding on to. A delusion. The delusion that if I were just good enough, smart enough, patient enough, they'd finally see me. That one day, they'd look at me the way they looked at Chloe when she walked off stage. But no. My life was just a silent understudy, a background role, no spotlight, no applause. I lay flat on the bed, staring at the ceiling as memories flooded in. I remembered when Chloe didn't make the cheer team and cried for a week. My mom rushed out to buy ice cream, and my dad called the PE teacher to have a word. And me? When I didn't make the cut for the state scholarship, all I got from my mom was, "It's okay, sweetie, you'll do better next time." I had lived my whole life believing I had to be the strong one, the reliable one, the one who never complained, the responsible one, the backup plan when Chloe failed, a spare tire in the family car. Always ready, but never allowed to drive. At 1 in the morning, I opened my phone camera and scrolled through old photos. Dozens of me smiling next to Chloe, fixing her hair, holding signs cheering her on at school performances. But me? There wasn't a single photo someone else had taken. Unless I took it myself. I stared at the screen, a coldness crept in, not from the air conditioner, but from the stark truth. I had never been the first choice, I was just the fallback. The next morning, I didn't check my phone. I didn't go home either. I walked down to the lobby and ate the hotel's bland breakfast, soggy waffles, cold eggs, and watered-down coffee. But at least no one told me I was overreacting. No one glared at me for not smiling. No one asked, "Where's Chloe?" I sat there for over an hour, watching people pass by without feeling rushed. It felt like I had just escaped a prison without locks. Because the thing that kept me trapped wasn't a cage, but blind loyalty. I thought, I'm not going back. Not just to the hotel, to the entire cycle. I wasn't going to be Chloe's cushion anymore. Not going to be the emergency ATM when Mom needed help with tuition. Not going to carry all the responsibility so they could call it silent sacrifice. No. That night, I opened my laptop and started a Word document titled, "Plan to Leave." Step by step, line by line. Not to run away, but to reclaim my own life. I began searching for a temporary room across the city, where my best friend Amber lived. I sent an email requesting a short leave from the cafe where I worked part-time. Then I logged onto job boards, looking for work far away. New Mexico, Minnesota, even Maine. Anywhere far enough that emotions or debt couldn't pull me back. I logged into my bank account, the one I used to share access to with my mom since freshman year, and changed the password. Unlinked every card. Removed shared information from utilities. The next day, Mom called. 6 times. The texts were short and blunt. "Zoe, come home. You're overreacting. It's just pizza. Don't be so sensitive. Chloe's tired too, you know. It's not just about you." I read every word. I didn't reply. I just stared at the messages, watching them peel back every layer I used to hide the truth. I was never the focus. Just the filler. That night, I stood at the hotel window, the freeway lights reflecting against the foggy glass. I held my phone and called Amber. "Are you okay?" she asked. No, I answered honestly. But I'm finally starting. I went back to the house on a Wednesday afternoon, not to reconcile, and definitely not because I missed it. I just needed to collect my things. A few books, my old printer, a couple of keepsakes I wasn't ready to leave behind. I timed it perfectly. When Chloe had her yoga class, and my parents usually did their early weekend grocery run. The house was eerily quiet, like an empty shell. I walked into my room. Everything was untouched. No one had moved a thing. No sticky note saying, "Where are you?" or "We miss you." It was as if I'd never vanished for 3 days. Never disappeared from my own family. I started packing, clothes, books, a few small mementos. When I opened my desk drawer, I found a stack of old papers. Utility bills, parent-teacher meeting letters, but one sheet made me freeze. A closure notice for an education trust account, with my name printed at the top. I didn't remember ever receiving it. I didn't even know such an account existed. My heart pounded. I sat on the bed, hands trembling as I flipped to the next page. The account had been created when I was 9 by my grandmother, my dad's mom, as a college future fund. By the time I turned 18, it had over $38,000. But then came the bolded line. Account closed on August 16, 3 years ago. Reason: full transfer of remaining funds to a new account under the name Chloe Dawson. It felt like someone had slapped me across the face. I tore through the drawer, searching for more. Tucked inside a thick folder, wedged between old books, I found a bank statement. It wasn't just a transfer. They had used that money to open a small business development account under Chloe's name. Attached were spending invoices, purchases for jewelry supplies, domain registration for a website. I picked up the first printout. The title read, Chloe's Sparkle. Handcrafted jewelry, with love. I laughed, a dry, hollow sound that chilled me to the bone. While I had been juggling 3 jobs to pay tuition, living off instant noodles in a dorm room, turning down an unpaid internship in New York because I couldn't afford to survive there, Chloe was using my college fund to buy colored stones, leather cords, and take live streaming classes to sell bracelets. I didn't feel hurt. I didn't feel shocked. What I felt was a kind of clarity, so sharp, it ached. I photographed every document, quietly returned them to their place, locked the drawer, pulled the spare key taped to the bottom, where my mom used to hide it when I was little, and kept it in my pocket. Then I stood up, taking nothing with me but the digital copies, and a bitterness that had never been so clear. On the way back to the hotel, I opened Chloe's Instagram. Her page was glowing with pictures of flowers, bracelets, necklaces, and unboxing shots of orders. The most recent post showed Chloe at her desk, captioned, "Starting a business is never easy, but thanks to my family's support, I never gave up." Family? That's me. I was the one who helped her write her branding presentation. I was the one who fixed her typos in the product descriptions. I even ordered a bracelet just to support my little sister. And now, I realized I was wearing the very dream that had been stolen from me around my neck. That night, I didn't eat. I didn't watch TV. I sat by the window, watching the dim yellow streetlight reflect onto the road, feeling so empty, I didn't even know how to name the feeling anymore. How had I not seen it? How could I have been so naive? To think, they simply forgot the party. That I was just overreacting because of a pizza. The truth was, the party wasn't thrown for me because I wasn't worth celebrating anymore. They had made their choice, they chose Chloe, not just in the little things, but in everything. They placed their bets, their faith, and their money, all on her. I was the backup plan. The one who endured, supported, stayed silent, but not anymore. I opened my laptop and created a new folder titled Cutting Ties Plan. Inside I saved all the document photos, created a PDF, organized what I needed. Because I knew this wasn't about waiting to be loved anymore. This was about reclaiming what was rightfully mine. I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. Chloe's 21st birthday was coming up, and just like every other year, my family was buzzing in rehearsed celebration mode for the special day of their little Princess Dawson. I received just one message from Mom. "Hope you're feeling better. Chloe asked if you're coming." I stared at the words, feeling the blood in my veins turn cold. No apology. No mention of the diploma, the stolen money, the pizza box. Just an invitation, as if nothing had happened. No, I wasn't going. And this time they would know the reason. In a way that couldn't be denied or brushed aside. I reopened the cutting ties plan folder. It took me 3 hours to organize every document in clear order. Bank statements, transfer contracts, college fund closure documents, screenshots of Chloe's business account summary, and even the old email I had sent Mom asking for help with tuition. Along with her blunt reply, "There's no money, honey, I'm struggling too." And I created a new email, recipients, Dad, Mom, Chloe. But I didn't stop there. I added the names of everyone who had defended them when I started pulling away. Aunt Linda, Mom's sister, Uncle Fred, Dad's cousin, and even Grandma June, who always said, "Zoe's just overly sensitive." Subject line: "Why I'm not coming to Chloe's birthday." I wrote it coldly, precisely, without a single unnecessary emotional word. To my family. I once believed the problem was me. That I wasn't good enough, kind enough, or trying hard enough to be treated fairly. But now, I understand. The truth was never about me. It was about choices. And this family chose Chloe a long time ago. "You took my college fund," a fund created when I was in elementary school, and used it to help Chloe launch her Etsy bracelet business. While I scraped by, worked part-time, and lived on instant noodles, Chloe was invested in using the very future meant for me. Mom said there was no money for my books, while transferring $12,800 into Chloe's account in just 3 months. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done being silent. All the evidence is attached to this email. I'm not skipping the birthday out of spite, I'm rejecting the role you've forced on me for 22 years. This is not just declining a party. It's rejecting the backup role you assigned me my entire life. Zoe Dawson. Access to all shared accounts, finances, and responsibilities terminated as of May 18th. I hit send. Just one click, but I felt like I had severed the chain that had bound me throughout my youth. I didn't check for responses right away. I set my laptop aside, made myself a cup of coffee, and sat waiting. No panic, no fear. Just a quiet calm after the storm. 11 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Missed calls. Mom. 6 times. Then came the texts. "Zoe, you misunderstood. You're digging too deep into this. Every family has to adjust plans sometimes. Chloe didn't know anything. Don't ruin her day." I read them all, then quietly locked my screen. No reply. An hour later, Chloe posted an Instagram story. "Some people just can't stand seeing others happy. They choose to be victims to hide their jealousy. Truly sad." The picture showed a party table, crystal glasses, yellow roses, tiered cake. But I didn't focus on the image. I read the comments. "Cousin Marcy. Chloe, I thought your birthday was next month." "Uncle Fred, just read the email. That's heavy." "Aunt Linda, wish I'd known sooner. Zoe didn't deserve that." Even a private message from Grandma June appeared. "You weren't overly sensitive. You endured far too much. I'm sorry I didn't see it earlier." I didn't expect to be defended, but each message felt like the first breath I'd taken in months after being held underwater. That night, I slept deeper than I had in years. No dreams, no waking in the middle of the night, just a clean, uninterrupted sleep. Like my mind had finally taken out the trash. I didn't post anything online, no status updates. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. They could deny it, play the roles of the grieving mother, the hurt little sister, the confused father who didn't know what was going on. But the numbers, the signatures, the transfers? Those don't lie. I didn't need to justify anything anymore. I had told the truth. And the truth was, I was no longer Chloe's shadow. I was Zoe. I had just stepped out of the silent role they had written for me for 22 years. I left Maple Hollow on a foggy morning with 3 suitcases, a laptop, and a vow never to look back. No tears, no goodbyes, no one chasing after me, except the quiet reflection of myself in the hotel mirror as I closed the door. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't text Chloe. I didn't send a thank you email or a keep in touch message. I left Amber's temporary room with a note of gratitude, then headed north, where just a week earlier, I had received an official job offer from a media company opening a new branch in Seattle. I wasn't hoping for a perfect new beginning, but I needed distance, far enough that no thread, not even blood, could pull me back. My first job was as a content assistant at Willow Media, a mid-size company specializing in digital content and brand campaigns. The office was on the 6th floor of an old red brick building, with wide windows overlooking Puget Sound, and a meeting room with a coffee machine so good, I once secretly dumped my instant coffee just to have an excuse to arrive early. No one here knew me as Chloe's sister. No one cared what my dad did, or how many parties my mom had thrown. They only saw me as Zoe. The woman with a clean record, a strong work ethic, and a habit of turning in deadlines a day early. I rented a small apartment in Queen Anne, 3rd floor, old wooden floors and windows that opened to maple trees turning red. Every evening I lay on the sofa, listened to distant trains passing, read old books, or doodled on the white walls with colored pencils. Things I'd never dared to do before. Afraid of making a mess. A month after I moved in, I met Elijah. He was the lead designer on the marketing team, 2 years older than me, with a crooked smile and a habit of wearing bright yellow Crocs even during client presentations. I noticed him at the first meeting, not because of how he looked, but because of how he listened. He never interrupted, never spoke over anyone. He just nodded and asked one thoughtful question that made everyone rethink their stance. We started with short lunches in the office kitchen, then bike rides home after work. One day, when everyone was discussing family relationships, he looked at me silently and asked, "Zoe, have you ever felt like the extra in your own home?" I froze. Not have, Elijah, I was, for 22 years. We didn't call it love at first. We called each other anchors. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't a shadow, a replacement, the understanding one. I was just Zoe. And that was enough. Little by little, I cut the last ties with Maple Hollow. Bank account? Fully separated. Utilities? My name removed from the bills. Social media? I hid every post tied to family, leaving only 3 photos: my graduation, my first sunset in Seattle, and a picture of me and Elijah beneath a red maple tree. Chloe kept posting party photos, new jewelry launches, captions like, "Grateful for my ever-supportive family." But it didn't sting anymore. I just felt peace. Once, Aunt Linda, my mom's younger sister, texted me. "I read your whole email. At first I was shocked, but looking back now, I think you did the right thing." Then another message. "If you ever need anything, I'm always here." I didn't need anything. But those words warmed me more than 100 "where are you" texts from my mother ever could. My job progressed slowly but steadily. After 3 months I was assigned to lead a new campaign for a young adult book brand. During the kickoff meeting, Elijah looked at me and said, "This project's perfect for you. You tell stories in a way people want to hear." And for the first time, I believed it. Not because someone labeled me. Not because I was trying to prove something. But because I felt it in everything I did. I called my grandmother. The only person in our extended family who never forgot my birthday, even at 83 and in late-stage diabetes. When she heard my voice, she cried, "Are Are you okay, Zoe? I'm living, Grandma, really living. Are you happy? I smiled, glancing at Elijah asleep on the couch with a book resting on his chest. I don't need applause anymore, Grandma, but I still feel like I'm on stage. She laughed, then whispered. That's enough then. I received Chloe's wedding invitation on a rainy Tuesday morning. The envelope was thick, embossed paper, gold-trimmed edges, elegant cursive script, like something from a royal affair. You are cordially invited, Zoe Dawson. To the wedding of Chloe Dawson and Austin Wells. Saturday, October 14th, at Maple Hollow Country Club. No personal note, no handwritten line, no sis, no we miss you, no hope you'll come. Just 2 printed check boxes. Accept with joy. Decline with regret. I stared at the blank square for a long time. In that moment, what hit me wasn't nostalgia or sadness, but a dry, bitter laugh echoing in my head. I didn't know what made them think I'd come back. After everything they did, after every silence I had to swallow, after the invisible wall they built, how could they think that a pretty invitation could pull me home? I didn't check either box. I folded the invitation and slipped it into a drawer with other things that no longer held meaning. Old business cards, utility bills, a faded family photo from 10 years ago, where I was smiling awkwardly between 2 people who had never truly seen me. I wasn't planning to respond. And I wasn't planning to stay home alone that day either. Because I already had plans. 3 weeks ago I called my grandmother. She was the only person in the family who had ever asked me, "What do you really want?" instead of, "What should you do for others?" "Grandma," I said, "I want you to come visit me in Seattle." "Oh, Zoe, I'm old and with this diabetes, flying is exhausting. You just have to sit next to me on a park bench, that's enough." And she said yes. Even with her weak legs, even needing assistance to fly, she came. Because unlike the others, she chose me. On October 14th, while all of Maple Hollow was wrapped in white dresses, crystal decorations, and wedding music, I walked hand in hand with my grandmother along the Seattle waterfront. We ate crispy waffles by the pier, watched the ferries pass, and burst out laughing when a seagull almost dove for the sandwich in her hand. "You know," I said, "right about now, everyone's probably raising glasses to Chloe's happiness. And you," she replied, looking at me, "are living the life you chose. I'm proud of you." We took a photo by the old clock tower downtown. She held a hot cocoa, I had a latte, both of us wearing long coats and colorful knitted scarves Elijah had given us. I posted the photo with just one caption. Choose the family that shows up, not the one that just sends invitations. The photo only got a handful of likes. But one familiar name showed up in the list. Marissa Langley. Chloe's college classmate, who had visited our house twice and then disappeared. No comment. No explanation, just one click. And I understood. Some people do see the truth. They just need time. The next day I received a message from Aunt Linda. I didn't go to the wedding. I couldn't stand how it was all staged like a perfect show. I wish I had been as strong as you back then. I read it and sighed. Not out of sadness, but because for the first time someone stood on my side. Not because they were exposed, but because they chose to see. That night Elijah wrapped his arms around me and softly said, "You know, not everyone born under the same roof is your real family." "I know," I replied, resting my head against his chest. But for the first time, I believe it. It wasn't that Chloe's wedding didn't matter. It just didn't matter to me. Because I wasn't looking for a seat at a table that was never set for me anymore. I had found my place, on a park bench, with my grandmother beside me, a hot cocoa in hand, and a smile that didn't need to be posed for a camera. That winter, I woke up to the first snowfall in Seattle. The sky was silver gray, silent like a blank page waiting to be written on. I poured a cup of coffee, stood by the apartment window, and watched the first flakes gently fall on the rooftop. The first notification I got that morning was from Instagram. Chloe Dawson posted a new story. I didn't open it right away. I brewed another cup, made my bed, read a few pages, then picked up my phone. Not with curiosity, but with the calm detachment of an outsider. It was a video from Chloe's baby gender reveal party. Balloons, lights, a backyard decorated like a wedding magazine shoot. Chloe in a white dress, her belly already rounded, stood between my parents, Dad holding a blue confetti cannon, Mom hugging a teddy bear. All three laughed and screamed, "It's a boy!" I didn't feel a thing. No anger, no sadness, no bitterness. Just a clean emptiness. Like watching a trailer for a movie I had no interest in seeing. A year ago I might have cried. Out of hurt, feeling left behind, feeling like they had once again created a perfect family without me. But now? I just long pressed the screen, hit mute, and kept scrolling. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't bitter. I just understood that they were no longer family, in the way I once defined it. I used to think I needed recognition. That if they came back, said sorry, admitted they were wrong, I would forgive them. But no. Forgiveness doesn't come from outside. It comes when you stop waiting. And I had stopped. I went to work like usual. Elijah still drove me to the office each morning in his old beat-up car that he refused to replace because, as long as it runs, it's still my buddy. On the way, we played indie music and talked about work, mixed with discussions about which plants we should grow on the balcony come spring. A normal life. Not glamorous, not flashy, but real. Every moment of it. On the weekend, I video called my grandmother. She sat wrapped in a quilt, holding a cup of tea, telling me about the new nursing home manager. Always scowling, but with a soft heart, I laughed. The sound echoing through my small apartment, and I realized I had never felt this light. One night, while Elijah was dozing off on the couch with his laptop on his lap, I sat alone in the kitchen and opened the old folder named Dawson Family on my computer. I didn't read everything, just skimmed. The PDFs that once made my hands shake, the tear-streaked emails, the evidence I once thought I needed to win back justice. They now felt like keepsakes. Not weapons anymore, but reminders that I had survived. I closed the folder. I didn't delete it. But I renamed it, The Past. The following January, Elijah and I flew to Colorado to go skiing with friends. One evening around a campfire, someone asked me, "Do you still talk to your family?" I just smiled. "No, but I'm okay." They nodded. Didn't ask again. And I knew that answer needed no explanation. I once thought my life was a journey to find a place in someone else's heart, but in the end I found something more important. A solid place within my own. And that is freedom. No one can take that from me. Zoe's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes peace doesn't come from others' forgiveness, but from choosing to stop waiting for them to change. She walked away from a family that loved conditionally and built a life that's honest, where she is seen, respected, and simply allowed to be herself. Freedom isn't rebellion. It's when you're no longer bound by the expectations of those who never truly knew you. And sometimes the biggest turning point is letting go. What do you think of Zoe's journey? Have you ever felt forgotten in your own family? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to follow the channel to explore more heartfelt stories about family, choice, and growth.